Well, welcome to the ProBrick exclusive YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me. I'm Reverend Dr. Jason W. Morrison, theologist. I don't practice as a minister anymore. I believe the calling went off my life, and I heard that and recognized that and decided that I needed to get out. But I have got some good information to share, some knowledge to share. I wouldn't say I know too much, but I know enough to probably help somebody here and there. You can see on the channel that we spread it around. We try and get as many people on their videos on as we can, just to try and help tradies and people in general. Why I'm 21 and don't smoke weed. Guys, also a message to the mummy's boys. Where are we? Here. I'm sick of you calling me a mummy's boy. Well, don't be one. That's our attitude. We've had a lot of trouble from the mummy's boys in the workplace and in relationships. Let's see what Danny Corelio has to say.
Hello. I've been using this toothpaste as a mic for a long time now. The issue is I ran out of toothpaste, and so I started using this one, and now it's deflating. So anyway, welcome to my channel. I made a video like a week ago talking about why I don't drink anymore. So I thought it would be a good time to make a video about why I don't smoke weed anymore. I have never really spoken about this on the internet, so I'm just gonna tell you right from the beginning, my first time smoking to my last time, and how I feel about it now. That burp really just ran out of me. I'm very sorry. Also, this video is sponsored by BetterHelp. It's fitting. I never ever thought I would smoke weed as a kid. Just as I was judgmental of people who drank, and you can hear all about that in my video about why I don't drink anymore. You might want to watch that first and then watch this one. They're kind of related. Just as I was judgmental of people who drank, I was also judgmental of people who smoked weed. I always heard the stereotype that they were lazy, loser, lumps, and
just let me say, I don't want to be judgmental of people that smoke weed. I just want to protect people from being harmed by it. Because I've had a couple of girlfriends now when I was younger and even later in life that it just hadn't done them any good. It just didn't do their minds any good. Scripture for the day, Proverbs 13:10, pride leads to conflict. Did you know that? That if you're prideful and running on your ego, it's going to bring trouble. Those who take advice are wise, and the meaning behind that is usually prideful people don't listen to things that they need to. And that's why they run into conflict.
And they were horrible druggies. And so my first experiences in like the partying world or whatever came shortly after something bad, traumatizing happened to me, and it kind of shifted my whole perspective on life. I no longer didn't want to smoke weed. I no longer didn't want to drink. So I actually seeked it out. I asked someone, I'm not gonna tell you guys who it is, but I asked someone who was older than me to basically help me smoke weed. Like I was like, hey, I want to. Like I knew that they did it. I knew that they would be able to get it easily and that they would be like a safe person to, I guess, do it with the first time. So the first time I ever smoked weed was actually in my mom's driveway, in a car, just parked in the driveway late at night, and I was about 17 years old. Actually, maybe I was 16. I was 17? I was 16, I think. I was 16. I was 16. Oh my God, I thought I was 17. Okay. Anyway, so I was 16 in my mom's driveway.
Just for the record, back in the day when we, I did have a picture of me and the boys who used to hang around in the old days, but haven't got one anymore. It's there somewhere, I just haven't got one.
And I hope you guys don't think I'm glorifying any of this. I think a 16-year-old smoking weed is very unsafe, so definitely not saying this is a good thing. I'm just telling you my life story.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We were around the bikies when we were 11 and 12. One of the blokes in the street's big brother, Kevin, Bob Hope, he was known as, used to ride his matchless up and down the street. He ended up in prison because of drugs, which taught us a big lesson about drugs. At that point, I realised it wasn't probably the way to go. I did follow through with the bikes part. As you can see, there's one of the bikes. But yeah, I've seen it from a very young age where it was all going to end up.
The first time I tried it, I coughed a lot and it hurt my lungs a little bit, but I had a great time. I remember I was listening to Post Malone, and so I was just chilling. I was straight chilling in that car, just I was having a great time. And after I smoked it that first time, I was like, I love this. So for the next couple months, I started smoking semi-frequently, maybe, you know, every couple weeks, every week, every weekend, couple times a weekend. It kind of depended. I had some really dumb stories Really bad stories. Please never do this. For example, I wanted to smoke weed, but I lived in my mom's house. I was 17 and I didn't have anywhere to go. Like a lot of kids like had like smoke spots or whatever, and they would like drive there and like smoke with their friends or by themselves or whatever. But I was scared to do that for whatever reason. Like, I don't know. I was very, very paranoid about it, like getting caught. So what I did, and this is the dumbest thing I've ever done. I've never done anything dumber than this, just so you guys know. I decided to smoke while driving. And for some reason, like, I'm not kidding, guys, I genuinely didn't think about this. I was being a full-on dumbass. I did not think about this. I was like, I'll just go drive around, and that way I won't have to stop, and then I will smoke, and then I'll come back, and then be fine. Before we continue with the video, let me tell you guys about the sponsor of today's video, which is BetterHelp.
Yeah,
BetterHelp is a platform that allows you to get therapy at an affordable price online. And it's not a crisis line, it's not just self-help, it's actual therapy from licensed counselors. When you sign up for BetterHelp, they basically just ask you a few questions to understand who you are and what exactly it is that you're dealing with. And then they match you up with one of their therapists that they think would match best with you. And from there, you can start communicating with your new therapist within 48 hours. And then from there, you can start chatting with them and schedule your therapy sessions whenever possible. You can log in anytime and send a message to your counselor. It's super private and secure. And if you feel like you need to change counselors at any time, you can switch to a new therapist really easily. Another great bonus is that they have over 15,000 plus counselors in their network, and you can get specific help that might not be available in your local area in person. It's also available for clients worldwide. It can be very daunting to start therapy. I have been in therapy for years, and I've tried in-person therapy, online therapy. I've tried all the different things, and this is definitely the easiest way that I have ever set up therapy and the fastest way that I've found a therapist. You can start living your better life, getting therapy, getting help today if you need it. So guys, if you want to start therapy with BetterHelp, go to betterhelp.com. That's better, H-E-L-P, and use my link to get 10% off your first month of your therapy with BetterHelp. Thank you so much to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. Let's get back into the story. So I drove to Taco Bell and I was smoking the whole time. And then I didn't realize I got way too high. I didn't mean to do this. Like, I meant to just smoke a little bit and go home, but I was very much a novice weed smoker. So I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I accidentally just got super high. So I go to the Taco Bell parking lot and I order my food, and I'm like it's like hitting me as I'm in the drive-thru. And I'm like, oh my God, I smoked too much weed. This is not good. I am way too high right now. And I don't know why. I didn't think about the fact that I was driving. I never ever should have done that. I should have gotten pulled over and gone to jail. That's what I deserve. But I'm super high in the top.
It's funny she says that, because I've seen a lot of guys have some serious motorbike accidents on weed. It just wears away at your mind. It wears away at your reflexes, your ability to be aware. No, it's not good for you when you're driving. I wonder what's going to happen here.
About drive-through, I remember they give me my food and I give them my credit card, and everything just feels so weird. And like, whenever I got like too high or whatever, I started to like not be able to see, and it was very like a lot of hallucinations kind of thing, where like I would see just like colors instead of the world, and like everything I did was.
I had this girlfriend once that said she had spiders. I was on the phone to her, and she goes, I don't know what's going on. I feel like I got spiders under my skin and all this other stuff. I just thought, oh God.
So odd, but I was in a drive-thru, so I was stressed, and I was like, holy shit, what am I gonna do? And so I get my food, I eat in the parking lot. I'm too high to go home. My parents are gonna see me. I also can't drive, so I call my friend, my closest friend, my best friend, and she also smoked weed. So like, I called her, I trusted her, I thought she would like help me out, and I call her and I'm like, hey, I accidentally got too high in the Taco Bell parking lot, and I need some help. And she wasn't very helpful for some reason, even though she was my best friend. She was already hanging out with somebody else, so like she didn't offer to come pick me up or like anything. Like, I just wanted her to come pick me up and take me to her house so I could just go sleep it off. But for some reason, she didn't want to. So...
And that's the interesting thing, isn't it? They want to go and sleep it off. Pride leads to conflict. Those who take advice are wise. In other words, people that are prideful, they really don't want to listen to anything that's wise. They're just going to do what they think's best for them. Also, guys, a lot of these women will want to sleep it off. I had a girlfriend. I'd be pumping, I'd be psyched, I'd be into sport and stuff. And I would ring her up. She'd leave here. She'd seem to be fine. But when she got home, she'd get on the weed, and you'd ring her up, and she'd be, and you'd be going, oh dear. All that power that she could have had, she wasted on weed.
Oh my God. I drive home. I drove home. It was the dumbest thing I've ever done. It was the scariest thing I've ever done. I never, ever never should have done that. And I never did it again after that because it was
You get booked now. You get booked for if you get pulled over and you're on weed. There's all sorts of really heavy fines and things.
horrifying. It was only like an 8-minute drive home, but it felt like 25 minutes. And I could barely feel how fast I was going and like whether my foot was pressing on the pedal. Oh my God, this gives me so much stress to think about. And I couldn't exactly tell where everything was. So I just know I was going so slow. I was being so careful because I was terrified of crashing or getting pulled over. Then I like pull into my driveway. I finally make it home and I go to bed and it goes away. And granted, it was the middle of the day. So like my parents could have talked to me at any point. Anybody could have like asked me to go do something and like I wasn't thinking about it. Like I was just not thinking about it. I just wanted to smoke weed because like I enjoyed it so much. So then I'm like 17 going into maybe 18, like towards the end of my 17-year-old year. I'm loving smoking weed. I love it. I try to do it as much as I possibly can. I'm constantly asking people to smoke and I start to use it as kind of an emotional crutch. So anytime I felt depressed, anytime I felt anxious, anytime something bad happened, like I really wanted to smoke. That's all I wanted to do because smoke.
And the thing too, it starts off that way, but then it becomes something that makes you anxious and depressant and paranoid.
Smoking is different than drinking. Like for me, drinking makes me feel down and kind of like tired and just like I never wanted to drink when I felt down, but I did want to smoke when I felt down. Like I really wanted to because smoking would just make me forget about all my anxiety. Like I had really, really high anxiety at the time. Like every single day I was in a constant state of anxiety. I had PTSD. And so I was like wanting to smoke all the time to feel better. And so at some point in that year, my family, my sisters, my parents, whatever, they all find out that I've been smoking and drinking and they all kind of confront me. And I talk more about this in my Why I Don't Drink video, so I'm not going to go over the whole story, but they all confront me and they're like, you got to stop doing this stuff, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, I will. And I kind of stopped for a while, but honestly, like any chance I could go out by myself, like I would go buy weed and then like try to find somewhere to smoke it. And it was really hard to do, like really, really hard because I didn't have any, like I said, like paraphernalia. I didn't have any way to smoke. And then I also didn't have any spots to do it. So like I would always like try to do it in like a field or like in my driveway, but I was always scared that someone was gonna smell it. Like I was very, very, very paranoid about it. So like anytime I did smoke weed, I was like making sure that nobody was gonna find out. But that didn't always work out. Like for example, one time, oh my God, I was so dumb. One time, I think I was drunk and high. I don't even remember. I was in my friend's car and we were at the top of my driveway at like 2 a.m. and we were smoking. And then me and my friends kept going in and out of the house at 2 a.m. And so like, obviously my mom heard it. So finally I went back into the house. I'm high as a damn kite. And then my mom comes out because she heard me and she's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you up? And why were you outside? Like, why are you coming in? And I don't even know what the hell I said, but I was like, oh, my friend left her charger and I need to bring it up to her car and I'll be right back. Or something like that. Oh my God. Looking back, it was so obvious that I was like out of it. I don't know if my mom knew, but if she didn't know, that would have been kind of dumb because I think it was really, really obvious. I think my mom just chose not to say anything for some reason. So,
And the thing is too, they learn to lie and they know how to trick people and you see through it eventually, but the pride leads to conflict. Those who take advice are wise.
I kind of had to get my way out of that one, but that was a really close call. And there were a lot more experiences where like I would smoke and almost get caught and like, just like...
I said to my last girlfriend, you know, I didn't mind if she smoked cones, but she was coming here off a dial. And I said, you know, the way in which you want to present yourself is up to you, but don't put yourself in a position where you're not attractive anymore. And I think the fact of the matter was, really, she didn't care. I think the weed was more important to her than the relationship, because at the end, right at the end, she was coming here stoned. And I looked at her one day and I've gone, wow, it's really taken a toll on you. You're 50-something-year-old. And I was sort of the health athlete type, and I just went, oh, gee, combine all this with the other issues that aren't getting resolved, and it just wasn't worth it.
Not great stuff would happen. Okay, so then I lose my best friend over weed. Not she died, but she started smoking like a lot, like every single day. Like,
yeah, and this is what happens to some people. They're just by nature addicts, and there's people today that I know that never ever got off it, that are my age. A lot of them have died for different reasons, different self-abuses and some unluckiness in life, I guess. But there's people that I know today that just haven't stopped, and it's just completely assaulted their lives. And they don't seem to care. They seem to find ways of getting back to their weed. And no, it's really pathetic, actually.
multiple times a day. She started doing other drugs, and she started hanging out with this different group of people that we weren't hanging out with before. My friend just started to change, and every time she smoked, I didn't like being around her. It made me uncomfortable. And so I confronted.
How good's that? At least she's admitting it. And again, I don't judge people that are on weed. I mean, each to their own. I don't think it's good for you unless it's absolutely medicinal orientated, but it's not attractive when you're with someone that's off their dial. They're not present. You're more or less they're just there. And no, I've had so many exciting, wonderful times with women that are straight, and it keeps you posted within yourself. You've got to be alert. You've got to be aware. Pride leads to conflict. Those who take advice are wise.
Confronted her, and I texted her, talked to her in the car or something, and I was like, hey, like, you're not being a very good friend. Like, you're smoking so much weed, it's like making you change and blah, blah, blah. And then she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. We had a whole heartfelt conversation, and she was like, I'll take it down a notch. I'll stop doing it so much. And she didn't. And then eventually we kind of...
That's funny, isn't it? That is so funny. She didn't. I appreciate what she said there, because when you get up into if you're still going through your 30s, 40s, 50s, I guess you've given yourself a death sentence with the stuff. This girl's given it away at 21. I'd pretty well made my mind up at 17, I think. I'd seen enough of what it could do. But I've had women that have been 30, 40, even 50 and have just smashed at it. And they're just hanging on, you know what I mean? It's really, really sad. One woman I had 2 bad turns right in front of me, and I just went, oh gosh, you're pretty well giving yourself a death sentence. But they keep chugging away at it. It seems to be their go-to, and that's where they end up.
Just stopped being friends. I definitely was sad that we weren't friends anymore after that, because she was really close to me, and it did feel like she kind of chose that over me in a sense. But
yeah, and that's true too. Like my last relationship, all I was asking for was a bit of sense and resolve and stuff, but weed's got a way of undermining everything as well that's important, and it just cost. I don't know where she ended up, but it cost what I believe was a good relationship. But life goes on. Like, I've moved on from that now, and life's better, but I don't know how they end up.
But I don't blame her for it nowadays. It just was really sad at the time. And so in the next year or so, I still did try to get my hands on weed whenever I could. I tried to smoke pretty frequently because I was just obsessed with it. Like I said, like I loved the feeling of it. And then I started dating Emin, my now husband, and he was straight edge and he didn't do anything. So I stopped drinking and smoking kind of because of him. Not because he asked me to, but because I was hanging out with him so much, I had no way to get weed. So like, even if I wanted to, and I did want to sometimes, it was really hard to get it. And I know
that's interesting, isn't it? She met a bloke that was straight. She appreciated that. My last girlfriend, I could see she was fascinated with the idea that I was straight and an athlete and all this and successful in life and stuff. And I paid a high price to be that. And I think she wanted that as well, but her lifestyle was so prolonged in that arena. I don't think she was able to find a way out. And so what she did was, the situation worked out where I couldn't go to her place because of the hostility of her sons, and she lived her life of weed and then come here. But she started to bring her weeded self here, and it didn't work out for her.
Smoker with and nowhere to go. Like, even when I moved out on my own as an adult, like I still didn't feel safe doing it because like it is illegal in Tennessee. So like if I were to do it and get caught, it wouldn't have been a problem. So I kind of just stopped doing it entirely once we started dating in 2018. But how I feel about it nowadays, like if I had the chance, I live in California, it's legal here, and like if I wanted to, would I still smoke weed? The answer is no. Number one, I love making lists. Number one, I just don't like the way that I feel like under the influence. I don't like the concept of being out of it and being out of control. And like I once had another really bad experience where I smoked so much weed I could barely see, and like I was stuck in this really weird, like it looked like an acid trip almost, but it was from smoking because I accidentally smoked way too much. And like I was stuck in that for hours and I hated it. I don't really trust what it does to your brain. I think maybe in small amounts it can be fine, but I feel like, at least for me with my addictive personality and how much I enjoyed smoking, if I were to smoke sometimes, I'd probably smoke all the time, and I feel like I would change. And also, I have just better coping mechanisms now, I guess. So whenever something bad happens to me, when I get anxious, whatever, like I have a husband now, I have friends now, I have...
The interesting thing about that is, again, my last girlfriend, who was a weed smoker, she couldn't resolve anything. She wouldn't face anything. She would just let things slide. She actually just lost the relationship, just let it slip through her fingers by she wasn't aware of herself. She had no clue of where I was at. She seemed to be more worried about how adult children felt. It was really quite destructive, to be honest.
A better mental support system, so I don't have to resort to smoking weed to make me feel better. And that's what I was doing a lot as a teenager. So I don't have the urge to nearly as much. Like, I think about it maybe once every few months, but I never think about it in the way that I used to, where I was like, oh, I just really want to get high right now. I really want to smoke right now. Same kind of thing with drinking. It's just like the reward of smoking doesn't outweigh all the risks that I see with me smoking.
That's beautiful, isn't it? The reward doesn't outweigh the risks. She's got a lot of sense, this woman.
Do drugs, kids. Goodbye.
Good on you, love. What a fantastic video. That's Danny Calorero. Subscribe to her channel. She's got a good channel, 141k subscribers. You're on the ProBrick exclusive channel with Reverend Dr. Jason W. Morrison, theologist. Hey, if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe, like, share, and comment. We love your comments. And we'll catch you on the next one, guys.